Hello and welcome back to Narrative Forge Productions. In today's episode, I wanted to talk about beginning a story, and even for seasoned writers, that's something that a lot of people struggle with, especially if you don't have a very solid idea of how you want to start your story. So, beginning your story can be one of the most challenging aspects when it comes to writing a story. And once you get started, it gets easier from there. But what do you do when you actually want to start the story? How do you get about going going about that process? And there's one piece of advice that I learned that is really beneficial when it comes to beginning a story. So for a lot of writers, especially beginning writers, um, the blank page can be a little intimidating, right? Especially if you've just started, you kind of want to write about something, but you don't quite know what it is. So a blank page can be something that can be intimidating for a lot of people and almost demoralizing. So I like to tell people uh, if they're trying to start a story and they don't really know where to go with it, think of a title and put the title on the blank page. So then the page is no longer blank and then you have something to work with. You don't have to use the title that you're going to use. You don't have to spend too long thinking about it. Just think of a title. It doesn't even have to be a very good one. Because you're going to change it later. Think of a title that matches what you want the story to be about. And once you've thought of the title, put it in bold along the top of your page. And that's something that can be really useful when it comes to getting over that intimidation of the blank page. And also good because when you think about the title, it can help you have ideas about where to start your story. Now, when it comes to actually starting the story, that's a whole different thing. It's one thing creating the title, but it's another actually starting the story. And you have to think about what would suit my story best. So, if you have to think about what would captivate your reader the most. So you got to put yourself in your reader's shoes and think, if I were reading my book and I didn't know anything about it, what would I want to see first? So you could start with something that's called en media res, which means in the middle. Um, the Iliad is a perfect example of a book that starts en media res. So you could start it off with something that's happening, and then you could maybe spend the rest of the book explaining why that event happened. But starting en media res is good for kind of drawing people in because it starts off in the middle of the action, starts off in the middle of something, and then your readers want to know how events unfolded to get to where they are. You could start at the very beginning. Um, that is something that's usually the easiest to do because it's easier to picture in your head a story from the beginning to end. So starting off with an event that causes the rest of the book to unfold, um, you can definitely do that. You can experiment as well. So you want to have ways in which to draw your reader in, or your listener, or whatever form of production you're in. Uh, but once you figure out where in the story you want to start, so maybe it's in the middle, maybe it's at the beginning, maybe it's somewhere in between. Once you figure that out, then you want to try and figure out what you're going to say. So you want to take, let's say you want to start in the middle. Take the most interesting part you can. Maybe a strange description of somebody. Maybe they're dressed all in black, or um, maybe something unusual is happening, or uh, something is happening, especially if you start in the middle, that will make your readers want to continue reading. Because if you can't draw your readers in inside the first paragraph, chances are they won't want to continue reading. So you want to, even in your first line, you want to draw people in. So think about some of your favorite books. How have they started the story? Has it started mundane? Has it started really boring? No. it started with something interesting. Um, and so you've got to think about where in the timeline of your story do you want to start. And then once you figure that out, you want to decide how you want the beginning of your story to look. So do you want it to be this strange description of a place or a character? Do you want it to be something unusual happening or something intense is happening at the start of your story? You've just got to put yourself in your reader's shoes and think, once they've picked up the book, what do they want to get out of it? And sorry, there's a bee, I think, buzzing around me. Um, Once they picked up your book, what did they want to get out of it? What did they want the conclusion to be? And once they read the first paragraph, do you think it would draw your reader in? So um, think about that. Those are some good steps in order to figure out how you want your story to begin, and how you're going to draw your readers in with the first paragraph. Of course, going on from there is going to be different, and next episode I'm going to talk about what you do once you begin to write your story. But hopefully today's episode gave you some good tips for writing. Hopefully I've helped you in some way or another. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. But otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.